Yo, welcome back to the Wrestling Strength Podcast. As always, I am your host, Coach Myers, and the Wrestling Strength Podcast is brought to you by Max Effort Muscle. Make sure you go to maxeffortmuscle.com for all your supplement needs. And we also have a new sponsor here on the Wrestling Strength Podcast, and that is Ice Barrel. Ice Barrel is a cold therapy training tool that makes it simple and easy to bring ice baths to your routine. Now, listen, I'm just going to be honest with you. I hated the cold tub back in the day. I would go in the cold tub at OSU. It felt like torture to me. But now that I've tried Ice Barrel, I do the contrasting with my sauna, I'm addicted, hooked. Here's the protocol that we use. We'll go in the sauna for, after a workout, we'll go in the sauna for 15 to 20 minutes, hot, like 220, get a good sweat rolling. Then we go right to the ice, up to the neck for 3 minutes. And we utilize like what's called box breathing. Breathe in for 3 seconds, hold for 3, breathe out for 3. And really, I know there's lots of benefits to the breathing, but for me, it helps me kind of get through it. It's like the meditative stuff. So then I kind of don't think about the cold and the ice and I'm in it. I'm out there looking at nature. I'm in my backyard in this ravine and it's like zen. I'm telling you what, man, on the days when I do the cold exposure, I sleep like a baby. There's like a total reset to my central nervous system that I feel. So besides the, anti-inflammation benefits, really the mental health benefits of the cold exposure is why I use it. Because I got so much stuff going on in my life, between training, work, kids, wife, business, multiple businesses all over the place. The ice just kind of turns the volume down on everything. I sleep like a baby that night. I wake up the next day, my body feels great, and I can keep training hard. So that's the way I've been using Ice Barrel. I know that all my listeners would love it. It's durable, it's compact, it's portable, it's lightweight, it's super easy to carry. It's made in the USA. It's actually made right here in Ohio using 100% recycled materials. They also have a 30-day money-back guarantee, a limited lifetime warranty, and financing is available. Now, because they want to hook you up, Ice Barrel is giving the Wrestling Strength Podcast listeners $125 off when you go to icebarrel.com/gutcheck. That's icebarrel.com/gutcheck. Or let's just make it simple. You can just use the code GUTCHECK at checkout and you'll get $125 off. Again, that's with code GUTCHECK at icebarrel.com/gutcheck. My guest right across from me was getting a little bit nervous when I started spelling. I think he thought he was going to turn to spelling bee. I'm going to ask him to spell some stuff.
Yeah, we ain't playing that game.
All right. So now that we got that stuff out of the way, I want to introduce someone I'm super excited to introduce to all you guys today. A great friend of mine I've known for, I don't even know how long now. I feel like I've known him my whole life. I knew of him, growing up, wrestling in high school and stuff, was aware who he was, but didn't really know him yet. We used to train together back in the day. We've been great friends, for, it might be going on 15, 16 years. It's hard to tell. As a guy that's really had an interesting life, he's done a little bit of everything. My man, Travis the Terror Clark.
How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, man.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man.
I appreciate it. When I leave here, I want to go pick up my Ice Barrel. you have me sold on it.
I feel like I could sell you just about anything.
Yeah,
It's the voice, right?
Yeah, dude, I tell you got the voice for radio for sure, and the face.
I got a great face for radio. I got great hands to be a foot model too.
Yes, you do. Exactly. That's a fact.
No, I tell you what, it's not just the voice; it's the authenticness. You can feel the authentic.
You can feel that you like when you can feel yourself submerging yourself in the ice. I can see you and getting your zen on out there. That was a great way to. That was perfect, man.
When are you going to come out for some cold therapy?
I need to soon. I've been training. I've been getting back in it a lot. I had a little surgery and had to take a little time off, but I'm getting back now. And there was this place out in Denver, a supplement place that we used to train at, and they had the ice and cold bath.
Yeah, we can say it online. You were out in MP for a long time.
Long time. Yeah, thanks to you guys. Thanks to you and G. Got me out there, and that was my first experience with the ice bath and the hot and cold right after a workout. You're not joking, man. That is the best way to recover, and I love it. I absolutely love it. It's like you said at first, it's that love-hate. But once you can find that spot and you can get your breathing.
It's controlling your breathing.
It's controlling your breathing and controlling your mind.
Yes.
It really is. Because you can and jump out and, or slow everything down like you said. And you have to slow everything down. It makes it. And I think that helps you control a lot in life. A lot with everything you do. It does. It makes you like, all right, I got this.
Yeah.
I got this. Calm down.
Things aren't quite as bad.
Yeah.
I mean, think about this. If you can control your breathing, you can control your mind. If you can control your mind, you can control everything. right?
Yes, sir.
And that's really just the key to it. So now you said you took some time off. There's just some background for you guys. Me and Travis are the same age, 43, right?
Yes, sir.
79, baby.
Yes,
We're
sir.
last in the disco babies.
Yep.
We're from the same area. You grew up, a little bit further down the river from Steubenville, but you were originally a Steubenville guy, right?
Yes, sir. Born in Steubenville. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And people see me kind of doing all kinds of crazy stuff, training wise or whatever. Something, and they think, oh, how's this guy still doing this at 43? You're still doing that shit at 43, and you're still competing. I mean, you're a guy that's done a little bit of everything. I mean, cage fighting, kickboxing, bondo, tough man, pro boxing. Tell us what you're doing now.
Now my biggest fight is old age and obesity. That's my thing, man. No, right now, actually, I literally just retired. I am now promoting. I got some fighters that I've signed contracts with. I'm their manager, coach, and cornerman. And training kids. I got a gym down home, Morgantown, Ohio. I work with kids. I work with kids with autism. I work with kids that are developmentally handicapped, or I actually got a contract with the county court too, where I work with these kids, respite kids that having a little bit of hard times, and they bring them to me. So get to train them, get to talk to them a little bit, kind of mentor them a little bit, and I'm still working with fighters and training hard. And I got some high school athletes I train. I got collegiate athletes, wrestlers I train. So I'm very blessed, man. I'm very blessed that to be able to give back. Contact sports, wrestling changed my life. I had a really hard life growing up. My childhood wasn't awesome. My wrestling coach got me in there, man, and
Coach Link, right?
Coach Rick Link, yes, sir. Changed my life for sure, man.
And let's go and just put it out there, since this is the Wrestling Strength podcast. We got a lot of wrestlers that listen. You were D3 state champ in 98.
Yes, sir.
160 or 171?
160, yeah.
160.
160, long time ago.
It was a long time. Yeah, you ain't seen 160 in a minute.
I ain't seen 160 since I won state championship. So it's the day after I won. I have not ever seen 160 since. So.
No, so I can still like I said, I didn't know you in high school, but I remember being at the OVAC tournament, and I remember watching. You had this big tattoo. You look mean. And I can remember my coach, Eddie Chinosky, was like, man, that Clark kid is tough. He's just a tough bastard. I was like, yeah, I mean, this guy looks tough. Back then, kids didn't really have tattoos in high school. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I was a little ahead of the time on that. But
and you've gotten a few since then.
Just a couple. Just to highlight the good ones that I had.
Show that knuckle one to the camera real quick.
Here we go.
Yeah. Stay down. Now, the best part about that tattoo, you got that long before you were a professional fighter, right?
Oh, yeah. This was just everyday life. This is just, when I say it, I mean it. So, that was way before I became a fighter, man. Actually, I did not even start my fight career until I was 27. I dabbled. When I was 13, I did a boxing match for, Sam Jones, Boxing for Books. Messed around a little bit here and there. But then when I got into wrestling, that's all I cared about was wrestling. So I just conditioned for wrestling, and wrestling was my thing, So after that, after high school, I ruined a couple opportunities by being young and dumb and thinking I knew everything, and I should have went to college and wrestled, and I didn't. And I decided, at the time, I was 27 years old when I was going through a divorce. And I'm like, man, I want to get back into fighting. I need to get some of this out, and train.
In a healthy way.
In a responsible way. Because there was times I was getting it out and it wasn't the right way to do it, And so I needed a good outlet, and it needed to get back to my roots, what I love to do and what got me away from my hard times in life before. So got back into training, and then I had to sprint because I was 27 years old, and we made a hell of a run. So
so right around that same time when you were getting some traction in cage fighting, that was when I'd boxed a little bit, dabbled in it early, but then had a coach and everything, started actually boxing around the same time. And that's how you and I first hooked up. Yeah. You and Bubba would come up and spar. You'd be getting ready for a cage fight or for the Tough Man or whatever. I would have, fighting amateurs at the Arnold or whatever. And I was used as an example. People say, well, why don't you want to spar anymore? I said, well, when I golfed, I used to spar, or when when I golfed. When I was, I don't know where that came. I looked at the golf thing on the wall. Yeah, see, I've been hitting the head too many times.
See what happens? So it comes back.
I said, why would I want to spar now on box anymore? I said, when I was fighting, I used to, Travis Clark and Bubba Secrets, these guys were my sparring partners. I used to get beat up by these big guys. Why would I want to spar anymore? I got enough mileage on my brain, Yeah. But dude, we had some great times, training in the old gym at old school. And man, some of those early fights that you guys had when they were promoting the bullpen fight club down there in Morgantown, man, it was like the whole county would come out to watch it.
Right, yeah, man, we had good support, good support system for sure.
Now, so not too long after that, as your fight career, kept going on, you were out at MP for a while, and you were in one of Rampage's camps, right?
I was in quite a few actually. I ended up working for Rampage for about 3 years after that. But yeah, we was there for John Jones camp. Okay, and that's where we started. And that was a trip. When you
started with him, it was when Rampage was the champ, right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
And Jones was coming for the belt.
Yep.
And so I got a call from Corey, and he's like, "Hey, man," he's like, "Dude, they're here. Like they are at Muscle Farm." He goes, "I can't do anything, but got you, and you got like 10 minutes to talk to these dudes. Come in, check out, train with them a little bit, see how it goes, see what you say." They said they give you a day, whatever. Come in. So.
At least you got your foot in the door, but now it's on you.
I went in there, man, and I got thrown to the wolves, like and the Wolfslair, really, the Wolfslair, yeah, actually. Robbie Broughton, which was a big, huge dude from over there. Chet Congo, Mark Hunt was there. Rampage.
These guys are legends in the sport,
dude. And I'm from Belmont County, holy! I'm growing up watching these guys, looking at these gods, they're fight gods.
And you're in the game at this time. You're fighting and stuff, but these guys, it's a different level. This is big leagues.
Yeah, I mean, this is what 7-8-0 as a pro. These are the guys that I want to be.
Right.
This is what I'm going for. And man, they threw me in the cage, dude, and I went in there and took care of business and. I sparred every one of those names that I put out there that first night.
That first night, they were like, run the gauntlet.
First night.
Rampage, Congo.
I shit down my leg. Every time that door would shut, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. One round with every one of those guys. And when I got out of the cage, they offered me a job.
Well, and I know that right away. I remember hearing the feedback. They loved you. For day one, they were like,
"It was on.
This guy's part of our camp."
Yeah, dude. I mean, I was the third American to be accepted to Wolfslair, so that was pretty cool.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, that was cool, man. I'm like, dude, we did this, and G would call, or he every once in a while would come into the facility and we get to see each other. I'm like, dude, look, I'm here, I'm doing it, man. So it was cool, man. And then I traveled with him for years, man. Actually, I moved to California and was out there with him every day at camp, Rampage. Did multiple fights, went to Japan with him, worked with all the guys. I mean, I still Chet Congo. I talk to Chet Congo on a about once a week, and we all got good respect for each other. It just so happens my mom passed away right. It was my time, It was my time. I was there. I had one injury right before. It was a nagging injury. My mom passed away, and my head wasn't in anymore. And I lost everything I was working for. I wanted to do something I wanted to buy my mom a house. I wanted to take care of my mom. I just wanted to show her that I was worth it, because she put a lot out for me. She raised me, my brother, and my sister by herself, and that was something I felt like I needed to do, and I lost all my drive, man. I couldn't get it back. I couldn't get my mindset back around fighting like that after I lost her. So,
well, I can still remember going to that fight down in Morgantown, and this was, you were in the mix of it. Now you're out there training with those guys. Obviously, part of anything in any sport is having the right connections. You got the connections now. You got to respect the guys. You're on your way up. I know it was either Strike Force or Bellator or whatever. The big organizations are looking at you. And then your mom passes, and I remember thinking that you were gonna cancel your fight. But I know how it is. You're fighting in Morgantown; it's close to home. You probably sold thousands of tickets.
Yeah, man. Well, and this is your shot, dude.
This
is what you've been working for. You win this fight, you're in.
Well,
I
can remember just it was you got armbarred kind of quick or something, and I can remember everyone was in disbelief. What happened? I'm like, guys, his mom just died. How could you expect to go out and have your mind on straight? So, life is crazy like that, man. Sometimes, things just don't they don't follow the path you always think it's going to, you know?
Man, like I said, I'm so blessed though. Like the things I'm doing now, like beating people up for a living was really cool. It was a really awesome thing, man. Like I got to do things that no one ever got to do in their life. I got to go train with the like I said, legends of that sport and boxing people. Dillian White, you know, he's a huge name. And I got to train with him, and you know, it's just a great group of guys that I call brothers now. You know, that it was a great thing, but the most rewarding, awesome thing I've ever done is work with these kids that I'm working with now, these handicapped kids, these kids that don't just wake up and easy put their shoes on with no problems. You know what I mean?
Things that we take for granted.
Everything we take for granted, you know, and it opens my eyes that, you know, I'm being a little crybaby about this ankle being sore after surgery. I'm like, man, these kids have been struggling every day of their life, you know, and autistic children, man, like anything that people's got to deal with that need help, and that if coming to my gym and me talking to you, being for whatever reason we make a connection, if that helps you, then that's what I want to do, because that's the best thing I've ever done with my life, other than having my babies. You know, but I mean, I love my boys, and my boys are the same way. They're always there to help people, but I mean, it's the most rewarding thing I've ever done.
Well, I've always felt like the gym is a place you can really make a difference in people's lives. But this is kind of even going a step further. Like you said, these are kids that have just such monumental struggles on a daily basis. Right. And I can't even really imagine how much, not just them getting in the gym and being physical and being active helps, you know, just their mindset and their confidence. But I think also there has to be something to it with, they're going there and they're working with you. Yeah. You're big, you're strong, you're tattooed, you're a professional fighter, you're scary, even though you're the nicest guy. Yeah. You're scary as a motherfucker looking, you know? So there has to be a change in them to think like, all right, if this guy, oh, I think we lost the mic here. We lost the mic, yeah. Maybe. We good? We good? All right, I think we're good. All right. We now return after that commercial break.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's all right. Yeah, so we're getting a little emotional where we accidentally kicked the course.
You're starting to.
That's all right. Is it?
Get too into it. But no.
Point of the story is, I think, you know, it's good to hear you making a difference, and I'm sure, like, because of who you are, especially who you are in that community back home, it probably really has a huge impact on these guys.
It does, man. And I say this jokingly a lot of time. I mean, I was a punching bag, really. I mean, at the end of the day, I was a punching bag. I was good at what I did, but that's all I was. You know, I'm a punching bag. It's like I hate to say it about football players. They catch balls. I mean, come on. We're not out there. You're
not changing the world.
We're not soldiers. We're not out there fighting for everybody's freedom. We're out there fighting for a paycheck, or we're catching, you know, but to these kids, I'm something. You know what I mean? And that means everything. You know what I mean? So I'm very blessed to be where I'm at.
That just gave me the chills.
You know, and I'm serious. It's just, I'm very blessed, man. And meeting guys like you along the way that, you know, that care about people and coach. You know, if you guys didn't give a shit about me, then I could have been nowhere, you know? Well,
I think kind of, you know, rewinding back to where we talked about, you know, you getting the shot out there with Rampage and them, it brings a couple things to mind. Number one, you know, when opportunities arise, you can't overanalyze them. You got to go try to take this opportunity that's there.
Don't think I wasn't scared to death.
Right. You could have sat there and be like, man, maybe I'm not ready to train with Rampage and Congo. Yeah, I mean, think how many people pass up opportunities when they're given to them because they think they're not ready or they doubt themselves. Yeah. You went out there, like you said, you were shitting down your leg, but you still did it and you crushed it and they loved you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the whole time you're thinking, oh, man. And they come in just as pissed off the next one. You're thinking, oh, man, these guys hate me. You know, and then when the cage door opened back up, we went out there, we were all friends, and I was like, wow.
Right.
You know, like I said, I was like a boy among men. You know, at that time, I was like, well, this is crazy. So.
But in their eyes, they're looking at you as an equal. Yeah, you were just an equal that no one knew who you were yet. Yeah. So the other thing it kind of makes me think about, besides, you know, grasping those opportunities when they come, is that, you know, part of why you got that opportunity wasn't just because Corey knew you and he thought you were the best fighter in the world, is because of the relationship that you formed with him and with me, and because we respected you, you know, because you were like a brother to us. Yes. So when you kind of, you know, you're always trying to help people, you're always trying to help us, you know, it was just when you approach relationships and like, hey, how can I help this person? How can I, instead of, you know, some people are always trying to scrape and say, how can I get over on someone? How can I get mine? How can I do this?
Now, how can we feed off each other and grow?
Exactly. So, and it's not like at that point, you know, Corey's running Muscle Farm. It's the biggest supplement company on the planet. He knew 1 million fighters.
Yeah, yeah.
There's 1,000 guys he could have called, But he called you.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's because of the relationship that you built with him and with us and with Old School Jim.
And he saw the hard work I put in. Like you see, I have the old muscle farm thing. He came and he said, one of the hardest working motherfuckers I know, and like at that time, obviously we were like all of us, we were grinding. We had what we were hungry. We were tired of being hungry, so we were hungry. And nothing makes you better than when you want something. You got a goal. So I try to set goals, just little goals every day for myself, because if not, I get lost in the. I'm a goal guy. That's why I kept fighting for so long. I think, I was like, oh man, one more. That's because it keep me on track. So, but yeah, I think goals are great to have, and I think goals make us the people that we are.
With you obviously being a wrestler first, state champ in high school, then you did kickboxing, you did boxing, you did tough man, you did MMA. Now, if you ask a wrestler what's the hardest, they're going to say wrestling. If you ask a MMA guy what's hardest, if you ask a jiu-jitsu guy, they're going to try to tell you grappling's the hardest, whatever. Mm-hmm. What do you think's the toughest?
Jiu-jitsu. You said jiu-jitsu. No, wrestling, man. Wrestling made me who I was. Wrestling changed me as a human being. Like, it made me second guess everything. Every day of my life, I'd go walk into there hating wrestling practice. Because like Rick Link was no joke. Like, this dude, like an old school wrestling coach that no nonsense. Like, it was horrible. Like, I mean.
Well, and think about this. The guys like us that grew up in the 90s, the coaches that then were old school, they were wrestling in the 70s.
Yes.
In the late 80s or early 80s when they did things real different.
Yeah.
There wasn't no concern about your feelings or about, training, recovery, anything like that. It was.
Well, if I tell you to make a weight, you make the weight. If you got to cut your leg off, I don't care. Just make sure you're not bleeding so we don't get caught on it, But they're serious. They were no nonsense, and they were to the point, and that's all. I think that changed my life, because when he said something, he meant it, and I didn't have that in my life.
You didn't have that accountability.
I never had
any
accountability. I didn't have a father figure, I mean, like my mom, God rest her soul, she's a great person, but she's a horrible taste in men, and I had abusive idiots around, and so it was like I never had anybody that I could look up to, and then when this man said, "You do this, this, and this is going to happen," and then I would follow that plan, and it happened. I was like, wow. That says something to me. So that changed everything about me and the hard work. Like I always thought that conditioning was my best aspect. Like I was in better shape than any wrestler out there. I wanted to make sure of it because I knew when I was eating, I had to go run. No matter what. If I was eating, I was running. If anything I was doing, I had to work extra hard for it. So I knew when I got on that mat that I was going to make them I was punishing them for making me cut that weight. I punished people because I had to be at that weight.
Man, I'll tell you what, you can't overstate the importance of a coach, especially for a young man, or I guess a young woman, any type of young athlete that doesn't have a strong father figure in their life.
Right.
My dad's always said the same thing too. He said he never had a father figure until he had his junior high football coach.
Yeah.
He said until that, he was raised by a single mom. His dad left when he was a baby, and that his adopted dad. Because my dad was adopted as an infant, but and then he might have had she might have had some boyfriends or maybe even got married somewhere there. But either way, he never had a father figure
that he felt that influence
that influenced him exactly.
Because it's real. It's real, man.
Well,
when you get that person.
You think about so many kids that don't have that. Luckily, you found it with your wrestling coach.
Yes.
My dad found it with his football coach. You turned out to be an incredible father. My dad turned out to be an incredible father. If those coaches wouldn't have interceded, you might have been doomed to repeat the same cycles. Yeah. My dad might have repeated the same cycles that he was exposed to early on.
Yeah, you got to break the cycle, man, and you really do. Like, and it's a struggle. It really is, man, because like you can get caught up in that. Like Jeremy was doing an interview earlier today, and he was talking about you can either turn the lights on or turn them off. You want to shut completely down, or do you want to wake up from things and better yourself? I don't say people use it as excuses or crutches, but we've all had bad things happen in our life, things that happen to us. You either got to want to better yourself or use that as your excuse. And I, as a father and as everything, I've always looked at my biological father and his absence and the way he was to make me a better father. I'm like, don't do what he did. Don't, if you say you're going to be there, you be there. You hold yourself accountable for things and be a man that you're supposed to be, not somebody that anybody can be a dad. It takes a real man to be a father,
No doubt.
So that's kind of just how I roll with it, man. And it's worked out well for me. Sometimes you got to use negative things to learn and keep you positive by watching them be negative. So
let's talk about your boy Cole for a minute. So I had the privilege of getting to work with your son. This was maybe 2, 3, 4 summers ago.
Yep.
And I remember, how old was he at the time? 16 maybe?
I think so. Yeah, because he just got his license because he could drive up.
Yep. Yeah, so I remember you reached out to me. You're like, hey, man, like, and I think you were probably, because you had Cole in the gym with you as he was growing up all the time.
Yep, gym
but
life.
He was probably just at that age where, and I'm sure my son will get there here in a few years, where he probably didn't want to listen to dad anymore.
Yeah.
Or dad doesn't know enough or whatever. So you're like, hey, man, I want Cole to come up with you for the summertime. So he came up, man. He worked his ass off. And it was a really cool experience for me because I'm like, this is my boy Travis's son. Like, I remember when he was like, at Travis's fights, he's a little 4 and 5-year-old. Now he's in here deadlifting big weight and, like hanging out with my other high school wrestlers and stuff. And you guys, live about, I can't remember, an hour and 15, hour and 30 from the old gym.
Yep.
And he would drive up 3 days a week in the mornings and train with us. So that was a really cool experience and really a privilege for me to get to work with your boy.
Well, thank you, man, because he loved it. And it was so funny because he'd be like, oh, man, you really know these guys? You really know these guys, with all the social media? I'm like, yes, I know them. They're my friends. Like, he's like, Dad, I really want to work out up there. I'm like, all right, man, let's go. Well, and when he came up, he loved it.
I'm the same guy you've known forever.
Dude. You're my brother.
Yeah. He's like, this is a guy with a blue check on Instagram.
Yeah, this guy's the guy, and you guys are doing your things you guys do. And he's a young man. He's into it, so it was great. And he loved it, man. And like I said, and that, to me, being able to pass something on like that is the best thing ever. You know what I mean? Like, hopefully one day your kid wants to learn how to throw some hands. I'll be more than happy to show him. I know you know how, but I know a couple little...
but they'll get to a point where he's not going to want to train with me.
Well, that I wanted to touch on is the most heartbreaking time of your life. When you got to tell your buddy that's 2 feet from you, say, hey, tell him to do this. Right. Because when you say it, it doesn't hold any value at all. He says it, and it's like the Messiah just came down and touched him. And
the word of God.
Yeah, I'm like, are you kidding me, man? Like,
the same fucking thing I've been telling you.
I just fucking said that. Like, and they would do that shit to me, man. Like, I would, my son, not Cole so much, but Cade would. He would like have his fucking around, have his head on the mat, right? And I'd be like, I can't. I wasn't a lolling kind of guy. You had to be moving. I'm like, get your head up. And I would get till my eyeball was going to pop out, obviously. And all the people in the stands were like, look at this idiot. But get your damn head off the mat. And he would pick his head up. I can't. and then put his head back down. And then my coach would be like, hey, you need to just go ahead and take off for a second. Go ahead and walk. Them guys, they would press you. But that's when I realized, with Cole, it was time to let someone else start coaching him. Cade, I overstepped my boundaries. And that's when we got to that, when I realized he was doing stuff that was spiteful because he was fed up with me being his coach and his dad all the time. When you're coaching dad, there's no cutoff.
Right.
Like, if you're at home, you're not eating that. What are you thinking, dude? You got to make weight, or you got this, or why would you put that in your body when you got to perform, And so, I'm intense when I'm passionate about something, and I'm passionate about wrestling, and I'm passionate about my kids doing the right thing to win, and sometimes they don't agree with what dads say. So you just got to come into another approach, and thank God I have friends like you that they look up to and want to be coached by, because you don't just want to send them to any Tom, Dick, and Harry.
Right.
You want someone to know what they're doing, and then like the like-mindedness that, the same thing, same goal in mind, So I'm blessed to have that too.
Well, I'll tell you, man, my kid's 10 now, and I've been time
That's
flies,
so
right?
crazy.
Yeah, he wasn't even born yet when I met you. I don't even know if I was married yet, but
no, he wasn't.
But yeah, so he's not to the point yet where he won't listen to me. But when he was 5, 6, 7 years old, any time of day I could be like, hey Jack, let's work out. Yeah, he'd come running. Now he'll work out with me every once in a while, but like if I ask him, I'd say, hey, you want to go to the gym day? He'll be like, who else is gonna be there? Is Tripp coming? Is Andon going to work out? You know what I mean? Like, there needs to be some of his buddies involved too.
Right.
Now, I know that'll buy me a couple years. Well, when that starts to get old, before you know it, it's going to be, he might even want to come to old school gym. He might want to go to the Y or something.
Dude, I have,
because there's girls there. Who knows?
My buddy, my sons do the same thing. It drives me nuts. I'm like, hey, where are you guys going to the gym? I'm like, well, I'll meet you there. Like, no, not your gym. We're going to play. I'm like, what? Dad, there's no girls there. I'm like, dude, I'm going to punch you in the face. Like, is that why you go there? Like, well, yeah, we'll come to your gym. Like they come to mine and do some hard stuff.
To get the real workout.
They go there and do look in the mirror and, play grab ass or whatever. But I'm like, whatever, dude. Don't call it the gym then. Just call it social hour. Don't call it the gym.
Well, I've gotten better about not trying to make him do stuff. And, circling back to sports, some of the best advice. I can't remember who gave me this, but it was within the last year or so. They told me, they said, don't talk about it on the ride home. So after the game or after a match, whatever it is, like, especially if they lose, just don't even bring it up on the way. Don't bring it up on the way home. So that's been something I've been really trying to do.
That's a good, don't dwell on it.
Yeah, and maybe you talk about it later, maybe the next day after.
Let them think about it. Let it soak in.
Yeah, let their if their feelings are hurt about it, because the way I always look at it is if he fucking has a bad soccer game, as mad as I am, he's more mad.
Oh, he's super pissed.
Yeah, so
you're your own worst critic.
Correct.
All the
so
time.
Let them get over it, and then maybe the next day you bring it up and try to help them or whatever. But on the way home.
So what do you think about that shitty miss? What happened there, dude?
Hey, you ever thought maybe if you just run a little harder, it'd be better?
Right? Maybe you should have came to the gym last week with me.
No, I got no complaints, man. That's one thing I will say about my kid is that he tries hard all the time.
Daughter too, correct?
Yeah, my daughter, who I'll tell you what, she's 12. So
so she's older then. Okay.
She's older, and let me tell you what, it's an experience raising a daughter because now, like, dad's the most uncool person you've ever met. I mean, like, I'm the biggest dork ever,
Yeah, right.
I'll tell you a funny story. So one time, I think it was when I had to pick her up for school for something. She got in the car and was like, turn that music down. I'm like, I even turned my music off and put it on just like whatever's on the radio, So she was like, no one wants to listen to the music you listen to, blah, blah, blah. This music, I'm like, finally I was like, I'd had enough of it. And I'm thinking like, how are you going to tell me about it? Like, you don't know anything about it. I told her, I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, I'm friends with rock stars. Like, you don't know anything about music. I've been on stage with Slightly Stupid and, the Tropidelic are my boys, all stuff, blah, blah, blah. She looks at me, she goes, you're acting like you're 5 years old. And then she was right.
you're
But anyway, so back to my daughter.
So that's great. She's 12 going on 24.
Yes.
And tells Dad how it is.
She tells me how
that's
it is.
Great.
Yeah. So it's been an experience. I just, I've learned with, when you got a 12-year-old daughter, I guess any year-old daughter, you can't think like, I'm the dad, I'm going to try to dictate the way their life is or try to control them. You just got to try to love them, make sure they know that their dad loves them. And there's really nothing else you can do.
Yeah, just let you know, baby, you're here if I need you.
Right, exactly.
Don't make me and your uncles come looking for anybody.
Right. But she don't play sports. She was super athletic when she was young. I thought she was going to be like my gymnast or something. But dude, she plays the viola in the orchestra. She's in the Girl Scouts. Like she don't like doing anything athletic. I finally found she likes yoga. So me and her have been doing yoga once a week.
That's cool.
Yeah. So
hey man, that's good. I mean, you got to start somewhere,
You got to do something,
Yeah, yeah. You get a little bit of daughter-father time. That's good.
Right.
Yeah, because there's time, man, like, get too caught up in the mix. Not worrying, and, it's take a couple of minutes to beat them kids. Changes everything.
Well, you got to be present, man, because it flies by. It's such
does.
a cliche, but...
It's true, though. Like, like you said, he's 10. I'm like, what?
Right.
Holy shit, I remember it. I was like, look at his hands.
Well, just like Cole. How old is Cole now?
20. 20.
He's 20. I remember he used to have a shirt that said the Tiny Terror.
Yeah,
He'd wear it to your shirts. He was the Tiny Terror, and he was, might have been 6, 7 years old. I don't know how old he was.
That's great. Yep.
So
yeah, it does, man. And I said that, like, it's just cool that we can still pass it on, man. Our kids look up to that, and and even if your kids don't, so what, man? That's awesome. They're doing other things and branching out in other ways.
Yeah, as long as they're doing positive things, that's important.
Exactly.
You want your kids to like what you like and do what you do, but you can't force it.
No, because once you do, man, like I've seen in time and time again, people think they're kids next Bobby Douglas in wrestling, and that little dude's wrestling every weekend. They're driving all over the world, taking him to these wrestling matches, and by the time he gets to 7th, 8th grade,
he's sick of it.
He hates it, and I don't blame him. I mean, you're like, why would you want to push a kid through so that? I mean, if they want to do it, that's fine, but I think you need to limit that and get them ready for when the real stuff happens.
Right.
Because everyone just pushes, my kid's going to be, but you don't even know what that kid's going to be in 3 years. You don't know what his body's going to do in 3 years, especially in that little age.
No, I mean, I got some of the kids in my, I'm not going to name any names, but some of the kids in my strength groups, dude, they're still competing every weekend during the summer and cutting weight all summer. They're gonna hate it. They're gonna burn out.
Yeah. And that's and they got potential too. If there's that fine line of training and then overtraining, man. Like it just don't. Well, how do you do that to yourself?
Yeah, it takes the fun out of it for a lot of them.
It does. But
all right, so we talked a lot about your exploits in the cage and all this other stuff. And we talked about your gym, the good you're doing in the community there. Tell us what else you got going on. Tell us. I know you got a big project you're working on. Give us a quick synopsis of that.
Well, we got a lot of different things working. We got a little TV show thing working on. Always doing stuff. We got a documentary I'm working on with my fighter Jeremy Smith. Jeremy has got 13 world records. He's got 5 titles at Barstool Sports.
He fights on the Rough and Rowdy with Barstool.
Barstool Rough and Rowdy. Yep. Yeah. He is the baddest motherfucking dwarf 5 times over right now. And got a big things happening with Jeremy. Not with we can't really talk too much about a show, but the show is it's coming up, man. Going to showcase a lot of young folks that want to learn and want to train and do things in the dwarf community. So
now, what about the documentary? They got like a release date on that yet, or anything?
We do not have the absolute release date yet, but we are getting close to finishing up filming. We've been following him around for just about a year now. It's been a trip.
I can't wait to see some of the B-roll that doesn't make the.
There's some
I want to see Travis Clark uncut.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There's a lot of roles that are not going to make. Yeah. It's different, man. Not only I guess that they have the camera on him. I guess it's been on me for a year too. It's been us. It started out as we're going to do this whole thing on Jeremy, and then it kind of turned into the Jeremy Travis show because we were training everywhere together. We're doing, getting him ready for the things that he's doing and the path that he's on. So, it's just been busy, man. We got a lot going on, and we're about to. I'd like to think we're going to make the world better and give dwarfs an outlet. They don't really, after they're done with high school wrestling, don't have much to do. You like Jeremy. Jeremy was fortunate enough he got into powerlifting. He's got 13 world records. Got into boxing. He's into boxing and getting into the cage fighting. So he's got that outlet because there's some things out there like that.
But there's so many people in that community that aren't able to find them. Maybe they don't have the connections or whatever.
Well, that's what I guess. He had good connections to where it worked out pretty easily for him. Now we want to work for the rest of the dwarf community and get it out there for them to have an outlet, to be a legitimate athlete, not a sideshow. Not a sideshow, because unfortunately that's kind of what they're made out to be. Years in the past, I'm not taking anything away from WWF wrestling or things like that, but they that's kind of what they have to go into, midget wrestling or things like that. They called it because they didn't really have the proper term, which is dwarf. So people still use the wrong, I know. Well, I know what Jeremy likes, and Jeremy prefers dwarf, so that's what I go with.
People don't understand how the verbiage is important,
right?
Because if it makes the person that you're talking about feel a certain way,
yes.
Just like back in our day, people used to say retarded all the time.
Yes, I hate that word. Yes,
right.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So
yeah, but it's offensive. People can say, "Well, it's just a word. I don't mean that." Well, it doesn't matter really what you mean.
How people perceive it.
How people perceive it, and the people that you're talking about, how do they feel about it?
Yes.
That's what's important.
Exactly. And so that's what our goal is, to bring awareness to the situations that Jeremy faces. He's one of my best friends. I love the dude, man. So I see what he goes through, and I want to better that for him, and I make it better for him and younger kids that we've been meeting along the way that he influences. So I'm just trying to do something that I think is going to help change the world a little bit, and even if it's just a little, it's going to help. So.
Man, I've said this before. I said this to you earlier, but I'm just going to say it on camera and on record. You're one of the toughest, baddest motherfuckers I've ever met. And I know a lot of tough dudes, you know what I mean?
I appreciate that.
But you're also one of the most good-hearted humans I've ever met. You're a genuinely good dude. I mean, I know we all have our faults. I got my faults. I'm sure you do as well. But yeah, we're not going to get into those. But
I don't want to get into that. That's a whole other podcast.
But you're a good dude, Travis. And thanks, I really, it makes me proud to see all the good you're doing.
I appreciate
in the local community out there, and what you want to do for the bigger dwarf community as well. Yeah. That's awesome, man. Well, listen, one thing before we jump off here. We didn't really talk about strength training, but it is the Wrestling Strength podcast. So I do have to ask you
that's great.
strength training thing. So, and we don't got to just limit it to wrestling. We can think about your whole fight career.
Yes.
If there's one thing you feel like strength training wise, strength conditioning, that helps you more than anything else, it could be a certain workout, a certain exercise, a certain technique. Some people, it's broad. They say, running, or maybe it's, the sledgehammer, whatever. What do you feel like really translated well to your combat sports career more than anything else?
In high school, it was the mental toughness. We had to do these hangs, right? Like, you'd have to hold your guy by hands. You wouldn't if you let him down, So
what are you holding him off of?
Not off the ground. He's got he's got to hold himself up, and it's a grip. It's a grip. But it was one of the last ones at squat.
So you're kind of almost like in a deadlift position at the top.
You're deadlift, and you can't and
they're holding themselves up.
Yes.
So it's on both you guys.
Both you guys, and if you go down, then you're screwed. So you guys, it was bad. He added time and all that. So
that's some old school Rick Link shit right there. And I might steal that one.
And I still use it today. Like, people hate me because I use it. Everything he did, I still do. I believe in old school, hard basics will get you right where you need to be. Yeah. But then the second thing that I found, which changed everything when I was at Evolve, was kettlebells. Mm-hmm. Kettlebells, man. Like, if you move kettlebells, you're moving people. Like, if you got a heavy enough kettlebell, it's a core. If you move a heavy kettlebell, you got to use your whole body. Right. You're using muscles that you don't. It's just not one single muscle. You're using mass quantities of muscles. The movements are great. The third and final thing that I will live and die by is the ATP. The belt squat, the athletic training form. Louis Simmons was a fucking genius on everything he ever touched. And that machine changed my knockout power, changed my blast double. For Christ's sake, I'd go through a wall after I did that. Like, that machine changed my life, and the mentality it takes to be on that machine. So those are the three things that, when people ask me about like strength and conditioning, those three things stand out to me right off the rip all the time. So,
well, man, I learned something new today. Those partner dead hangs, I'm going to incorporate those.
They're the worst.
Yeah, I love kettlebells. Use them all the time. Kind of sprinkle that stuff in with our accessory work and do the ATP or the belt squat, as some people call it. Man, me and Matt were doing 2-minute shadow box rounds on it this week. Fucking brutal.
Game changer, bro.
Oh yeah.
And wait till there's just so many things that you can do on that machine and with that machine as you're strapped in, and it's good though.
When I see like a high school weight room, I think the money you spent on the big cable contraction or whatever, you should have bought the ATP.
Yes,
because the ATP is so much more valuable.
And it's so much more. They're gonna get more use and more. How do you say it without?
Part of the problem is, I think the average coach out there doesn't know what to do with it, other than say like, "Hey, we can squat on it."
Yeah, exactly.
Which is great.
Which is way better than all these coaches don't know how to squat.
Right.
They Google the shit, and then they think that they do this heavier, and these poor high school kids, their backs are getting blown out because they're not doing it right. So if put them on the belt squat, man, don't hurt them, and they can get just as much, if not more, out of it. So.
Travis, let everybody know where they can find you at.
You can find me in Morgantown, Ohio at Terror Inc. Fitness and Training. You can get me at TC Terror on Instagram. And I have a fan page on Facebook. I think it's just Travis the Terror Clark fan page. And that's about it, man. I'm not that social media savvy guy.
No, but you're still an interesting guy. And if nothing else, you look mean in those pictures. So make sure you guys give Travis a follow. Check out what he got going on, and stay tuned for his that big project he has coming up with Jeremy. Travis, I appreciate you, man.
Hey, man, God bless. I appreciate you, and thank you for everything.